When I first showed up here, I was looking at 25 to life in prison. And I'm standing here today to God's glory.
Yes. Hallelujah.
I heard the gospel here. I was born again here. I was filled with the Spirit here. I was baptized right here in this church. All because of Fresh Start 3.5 years ago. I could go on with a testimony for a long time, but I have to hurry because here's what happened. Tyler Dean caught me outside in the hall, and he grabbed me by the shoulders and pushed me up against the wall and punched me in the stomach. And he said, "Don't go over." I'm going to tell it. I want to speak to you this morning about something that we see every day here in Winsboro, Louisiana, and in this church especially, and it's God's glory. The glory of God. So I want to start out with a couple of definitions real quick so you know what I'm talking about. What is God's glory? Glory, from the Latin word gloria, which is fame or renown, is used to describe the manifestation of God's presence. God's glory is His presence, His kingdom being revealed in and to all the earth. Another definition that I'm going to tie in with it real quick to realize what we're talking about is what it looks like. You don't have to go here, but I'm going to use a verse to give you an example. Ezekiel 10:4 says, "Then the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub and paused over the threshold of the temple, and the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of the Lord's glory." The word translated here as glory is kabod in Hebrew. This word is derived from a root with the basic meaning of heavy. From this root came, among other things, a word meaning rich. Speakers of ancient Hebrew would refer to a rich person as heavy in wealth, much as we might say somebody's loaded. A similar extension of the literal sense, and I'm going to get through all these definitions in a minute, of kabod included being loaded with power, reputation, or honor. It's from this use of the word that we get the meaning of glory. God's glory is God's weightiness in wonderful qualities such as might, beauty, goodness, justice, and honor. When it comes to these characteristics and so many others, God has them in abundance. God's glory reflects His essential nature. So the glory that I'm talking about is God's presence, and what that presence looks like is God's essential nature. Which you could, my wife and I was discussing this morning, and you can see that essential nature in the fruits of the Spirit. You can see the essential nature of God in a believer by the fruits of the Spirit in their life. Let's turn to John, the 2nd chapter, 1st verse. This is what started me on the path of researching God's glory. It was James McManus, and he was preaching. He was preaching on this, and he expounded on these verses in a way that I had never heard nor noticed before. And the Spirit showed me something, and the Spirit continued to show me something once I started researching this. John, 2nd chapter, verse 1. On the 3rd day there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Now both Jesus and His disciples were invited to the wedding. And when they ran out of wine, the mother of Jesus said to Him, "They have no wine." Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." See, Jesus was fulfilling the role as Messiah. He was starting to separate, and Mary needed to start seeing Him as Messiah versus my son. He was fulfilling the Lord's plan for him. Anyway, I didn't want y'all to think Jesus was being rude. So He says, "Look, my hour's not yet come." So His mother said to the servants, "Whatever He says to you, you do it." Now there were set there 6 water pots of stone, according to the manner of purification of the Jews, containing 20 or 30 gallons apiece. Jesus said to them, "Fill the water pots with water," and they filled them up to the brim. And He said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast," and they took it. When the master of the feast had tasted the water that was made wine, and did not know where it had come from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called the bridegroom, and he said to him, every man at the beginning sets out the good wine, and when the guests have well drunk, then the inferior. You have kept the good wine until now. Listen to this. This beginning of signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and manifested his glory. And what happened? And his disciples believed in him. Now, what was pointed out is this. God's word to me is infallible. Every word in the Bible contains a lesson, be it natural or supernatural. There's not a wasted comma in the Bible, in my opinion. Jesus, if you think about it, could have said, all right, there's some wine in that water pot over there. Go tell the master of feast to go get it. I did that. It's good too. But there's a lesson for us. Listen, there's a lesson for us. Mary says, whatever he says to you, you do it. Jesus turns to the servants and says, go put water in that water pot. Draw it out and then take it to the master of the feast and tell him it's wine. I wouldn't have done that because I'd have been scared I was going to get a whooping if I was a servant. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point is this. When God gets what he says, he's glorified. Jesus was at this party the whole time with these people, wasn't he? His presence was there. But when we are obedient to what the Spirit of God is telling us, Jesus in the flesh right now, then his glory was made manifest to everybody there, and they believed in him. That's a huge byproduct of the glory of God. When he says, I'll make you fishers of men, it's kind of like one of our greatest lures is God's glory on us. People see us, and they're drawn to us. We are agents of God's glory. We are filled with his glory. Everything that God made, he put his glory on the inside of it when he made it. Brother Dave and I had this conversation yesterday. When an eagle is soaring in the air, God is glorified because an eagle was created to soar. So what were we created for? Look in Matthew verse 5 of chapter 5, verse 14 real quick. Matthew 5:14. Jesus says, you are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand. And it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. How can somebody that sees those works glorify our Father in heaven except that it be his glory that is on display when we do it? It's obvious. It's God's glory being made manifest with our two hands, being obedient to what the Spirit of God is teaching us in our daily life. I'm going to give you an analogy real quick. When I was in the center, we had a guy that came on Thursday nights, and his name was James Wagg. Anybody remember James Wagg? Awesome dude. He's got his own church now. James Wagg was preaching on God's glory coming out of us and God being glorified in our lives. And man, he made it really simple for me. This is what he said. He used the analogy of an ink pen. He said, I can take this ink pen and I can take this piece of paper and I can go over there to the wall and I can stick this pen through that paper and stick that paper to the wall with this ink pen. If what I wanted to do was hold this paper to the wall, this ink pen would suffice, wouldn't it? It would hold the paper to the wall as good as tape would or something else. But if William Shakespeare were to go up and pull that pen out of the wall and grab that paper and start to write, then William Shakespeare, in a sense, William Shakespeare's glory would be made manifest on that page through this pen. When a pen is used, or the Apostle Paul, when he put that pen to that paper, The pen was being used for what it was purposed for, and it displayed glory. We're the same way. We were created to glorify God. The world will see us and be drawn to us as a moth to a flame. God's glory in our lives, magnifying His name and His presence here with us on earth for all to see. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We bring that kingdom with us everywhere we go. Jesus is still here today. He spoke to these servants at this wedding feast, but this is what I want you to hear this morning. Jesus is still here today. John, the 16th chapter says, 12th verse, I still have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. He's talking to his disciples right before a little while before he's crucified. But you can't even bear them now. However, when He, the Spirit of truth, has come, He will guide you into all truth, for He will not speak on His own authority, but whatever He hears, He will speak, and He will tell you things to come. He will glorify me. He will make me manifest. For He will take of what is mine and declare it to you. All things that the Father has are mine. Therefore I said that He will take of mine and declare it to you. Today, in your life, right now, as you graduate the center, or as you leave this church building today, I would encourage you, as soon as you can, get in your Word. Ask the Spirit of God to teach you. Ask Him to reveal, ask Him to manifest Jesus to you, because Jesus is the will and the plan of God. And as He's revealed, we know that plan, and now all we do is we walk in it. And as we walk in it, glory is all around. Whatever the Spirit is teaching you, most importantly, have an ear to hear it. Have an ear to hear it. Apply the truth that is revealed. Mary is still speaking to us today, just like in John 2:5, and she says, whatever He says, you do it. Come to expect to see people saved and set free and delivered everywhere you go, because that's what's going to happen. We see that everywhere we go. We are the ambassadors of Christ. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna shut this down. I know. I got some good partners that's got a word too, but I want you to do something for me real quick this morning. If you heard the gospel at Fresh Start and you were set free, raise your hand and leave your hand up. If you had a loved one or a family member that went through the center and heard the gospel, raise your hand and leave your hand up. I want everybody to look around this room. That's the glory of God made manifest. Hallelujah. Now recognize this. Brother Dave and Jeremiah and Matt and Clay, God gave them a word in their spirit, and He gave them a plan. What would have happened had they not carried that plan out? I wouldn't be here. I may be dead and in hell. The glory of God followed them as they were obedient to what the Spirit of God showed them. Amen. That's my word. Be obedient to the word. The Spirit will teach us. Amen.